Hey, just a quick mention before we get started. After you're done watching this video, make sure to check out my video on Mario Kart ROM hacks. There will be a link in the top corner and down below. Did you know? Even though there's over 1,000 Mario fan games running around the internet, Nintendo's only used a DMCA takedown on about 15 of them. A Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown notice usually demands the removal of copyrighted material by or on behalf of a copyright holder. To get an idea of why only 1% of fan games get stomped out by these takedowns while the rest live on in peace, we spoke with Mario Fangames Galaxy, a site that's been around for 20 years and hosts over 1,200 homemade Mario games. They told us Nintendo isn't really bothered by fan games unless they threaten the sales of official games. Only then does Nintendo call out the ninjas. According to MFGG, Nintendo does not go after all fan games. Rather, they seem to mostly target remakes of existing Nintendo games. This is probably because they don't want people to freely download games they're currently selling, which is also the reason they went hard on ROM sharing sites. It is not risky to make a Nintendo fan game. If you don't remake an existing game and don't try to profit from it, the risk of getting your fan game taken down is close to none. It is worth noting that Nintendo plays by a different rulebook when it comes to Pokemon fan games as well as lewd fan games, but that's another video. Today, we're focusing on Mario games. Out of the 15 or so Mario games Nintendo did DMCA, 3 of those games were all developed by just one man, Keis Amounoir, the Mario DMCA record holder. The first game that attracted Nintendo's attention was Last Impact, possibly the most ambitious fan-made Mario 64 sequel ever. Keis told DidYouKnowGaming, "It is a full 130-star long game with all new content, NPCs, enemies, bosses, levels, and a new soundtrack. It's basically what Mario Galaxy 2 was compared to Mario Galaxy 1, as far as content and scale." The first thing you'll notice booting up Last Impact is the file select screen. Instead of just a simple menu, you run around the entryway of Peach's castle and select a door. Last Impact's first stage is Wildlife Valley, a swampy nature reserve where touching fuzzies makes you loopy, just like they did in Yoshi's Island. Throughout the course of the game, you will also explore Sky High Islands, Bowser's Castle, and a Rainbow Road stage that pays homage to both Mario Kart and Mario Galaxy. The original Super Mario 64 has the castle as its one hub world, but Last Impact has 3. The castle grounds, an abandoned village, then eventually you will launch a spaceship to the moon. It has new power-ups like the spider mushroom that lets Mario spawn strings to hang from in midair, and there's also some old power-ups like the classic invincibility star, the fire flower, rideable Yoshi, and a paper mushroom that makes Mario two-dimensional, just like in Paper Mario. Keis spent about 4,000 hours on Last Impact's development, but just 1 month after he completed the project, Nintendo shut him down with a DMCA. Unlike most fan game developers, Keis isn't fazed by DMCAs. So in 2017, he released Super Mario 64 Maker, which is exactly what it sounds like, the traditional Mario Maker formula, but in 3 dimensions. You can pick from 15 themes, add up to 20 stars to each level, and even choose the music. Modders have been making their own Mario 64 levels for years, but 64 Maker simplified the experience, giving fans with no modding skills the chance to craft their own 3D worlds. All you need to build a stage is a Nintendo 64 controller and a good idea. Keis' trailer video announcing Mario 64 Maker pulled in over 1 million views on YouTube, and thousands of fans shared their custom levels online, with YouTubers and streamers trying them out for the world to see. In 2019, a fan named Foxen even used it to build a full 121-star game called Cursed Castles. And it got pretty popular, drawing the attention of reviewers and speedrunners. But of course, the fun couldn't last forever. Super Mario 64 Maker managed to survive for 3 years, but a few months before this video was made, Nintendo struck it down with a DMCA, and even pulled the trailer from YouTube. Still refusing to admit defeat, a year later, Keis released Super Mario 64 Online, the classic game that we all know and love, but with up to 24 players all running around at once. Of course, the natural choices like Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach were all there, but the roster also included some characters you might not expect. Rosalina, Goomba, Kirby, and even Sonic and Knuckles. Every character controls mostly the same as Mario, but also has some unique ability. For example, Sonic is the fastest and can spin dash, but he can't wall jump, while Luigi can climb steep slopes and double jump, but his weakness is having less health. 24 players can all share the same server with free movement. So while a few friends are off in Bob-omb Battlefield, everyone else might be at Whomp's Fortress or anywhere else in the castle. The game attracted a huge following, with about 200,000 players joining the fray, and some big YouTubers to boot. But predictably, Nintendo Ninjas hit K's with another DMCA. He says they even went after his YouTube channel, saying it always sucks to get DMCA'd. With Last Impact, it wasn't a huge deal, since that wasn't a strike on YouTube. But with Super Mario 64 Online, they hit me with YouTube strikes, which has the risk of killing my channel. Most of the DMCA recipients we spoke to were scared into submission, or accepted the takedown as an inevitability and agreed to ride off into the sunset. But Kays refuses to let his games die and continues releasing update patches to this very day, even though Nintendo is still going after him. Kays said, "I've been uploading patches ever since the first DMCA, which legally is something they can't really take down. That means now they can only DMCA the YouTube videos because they have Mario running around in them, which feels like a pretty low blow. I just end up uploading a black screen with a download attached if I believe they want to delete that game from the internet." He also mentioned that some fans put his games on Nintendo 64 cartridges and distribute them online, though he was quick to point out they're acting all on their own, and he keeps his hands clean when it comes to physical carts or making a profit. But the DMCA list isn't all sequels and online escapades. There's also been some interesting ports, remakes, and even demakes. The original Mario Bros. Game was officially released on the Atari in the early 80s. But when Super Mario Bros. Launched 2 years later, Nintendo kept it exclusive to the NES. Imagining a world where Nintendo and Atari's partnership lasted a little longer, animator Chris Spry developed an unofficial Atari port called Princess Rescue. The 2600's primitive technology forced some interesting compromises, like using the ball from Pong as Mario's fireballs, and only included half the stages so it would fit on a 32KB cartridge. Long before Chris finished the game, Princess Rescue was attracting a lot of attention online, so he teamed up with Atari Age to manufacture physical carts complete with a box and manual. But it wasn't long before a video review from IGN attracted dangerous levels of attention, and Nintendo shut the whole thing down with a DMCA in the summer of 2013. Due to its limited release, Princess Rescue became increasingly rare and sought after by collectors, with sealed copies auctioning off for upwards of $500. Chris told DidYouKnowGaming, "All the produced games sold, so a little over 300 physical copies are out there in the wild somewhere. And yes, I do have my own personal copy of the game in the box with manual, and it will always stay with me." Around the same time Chris was getting DMCA'd, a programmer codenamed Zero Page was starting up a Super Mario Bros. Port of his own, but this time for the Commodore 64, an early 80s system with a little more horsepower than the Atari. Unlike Princess Rescue, Super Mario Bros. 64 included all 32 stages and was a near-perfect one-to-one port, although the differences in tech resulted in some small audio and visual distinctions. Most fans believed a faithful Commodore port was impossible until Zero Page proved them wrong and released it in a format playable on both emulators and the Commodore 64 itself in 2019. But after 7 years in development, Super Mario Bros. 64 only survived 3 days on the internet before Nintendo's legal department issued a series of DMCAs, ordering a takedown to every website hosting a download link. In 2015, indie developer Roy Stan Ross released Super Mario 64 HD, a 1080p Unity remake of Bob-omb Battlefield running in 60 frames per second. It immediately blew up in popularity, pulling in more than 1 million players, and Touch Arcade even ported the game to iPhone 6. Rather than the full game, Roy Stan released Mario 64's first stage as something of a tech demo, along with the source code so other indie developers could add on to it. It took him months to rebuild Bob-omb Battlefield, so he figured maybe the community could pick up the torch and finish the game in its entirety. But then, he got DMCA'd, so that never happened. No Man's Sky was the talk of the town back in 2016, so indie developer ASMB Games came up with a mashup they called No Mario Sky. The game's levels are curved planets, and instead of just running right, Mario can explore in any direction, left, right, and even up. After Muscle Toad tells you the princess is on another planet, Mario jumps into a spaceship and explores the stars in search of a seemingly infinite number of randomly generated stages. No Mario Sky featured some unique Goomba designs, including one that went semi-viral because everyone thought it was based on Donald Trump. But one of the developers, Alex McDonald, told DidYouKnowGaming it actually just had weird hair, and its resemblance to Trump was just a coincidence. No Mario Sky probably wasn't threatening the sales of real Mario games, but the connection to No Man's Sky and a perceived Trump reference might have been too much to stomach for Nintendo. 1 week and 95,000 downloads later, it was hit with the DMCA. The developers told us they, quote, pooped their pants when they found out. But after some thought, decided to turn their lemons into lemonade. They renamed the game No DMCA Sky, and slapped a space helmet on Mario's head so he no longer resembled Nintendo's IP. Goombas became Moombas, and Princess Peach became Princess Mango, and instead of World 1-1, the first stage was named World DMCA. The devs built the original game in just 3 days as part of a game jam, so they had lots of leftover ideas they didn't have time to put in. But considering all the legal complications, they decided to abandon any connection to Mario and instead use all those ideas to build a brand new, much more polished game they called Deep Sky. Another remake that caught a lot of attention was Full Screen Mario, a sort of deluxe edition of Super Mario Bros. The most recognizable upgrade is the widescreen format, but it also lets players choose any of the game's 32 stages right from the start. Full Screen Mario also lets you build your own stages, and even had a level generator with a near infinite number of randomized maps. Keep in mind, this was in 2013, a year before Nintendo announced they were developing Mario Maker on Wii U. Which might have been how Full Screen Mario found its way onto their DMCA shortlist. Its immense popularity probably didn't help either. The game was playable directly in your browser with no download required, and the site drew in more than 2.5 million visitors, up until Nintendo stomped it 1 month later. We spoke with Full Screen Mario's creator, Josh Goldberg, who told DidYouKnowGaming that it was born from a desire to capture the nostalgia of the original, while also adding some features for younger gamers who find the original outdated. When asked if he had plans to expand the game even further, he said, "The biggest addition was going to be real-time multiplayer online. I also wanted to add in the features from Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, namely red coins, Yoshis, and the extra levels. And some kind of fixed map battle situation akin to Super Smash Bros. Would have been cool too. Imagine if you and a few friends were placed at random positions in a Super Mario Bros. Level and you could run anywhere in the map. Then each of you get a fixed number of lives and can respawn after a few seconds when you die. Maybe jumping on someone's head damages them. I think that would be really fun." Unfortunately, Josh's vision for Full Screen Mario was never realized, but a few of those ideas got a second chance 6 years later. In 2019, more than a year before Nintendo announced Super Mario 35, YouTuber Inferno Plus was sitting around with a friend talking about how oversaturated the Battle Royale scene had become. He told us, "I believe the thing I said to my friend was you could turn literally anything into a Battle Royale. I bet I can do it. My intention was just to make a Battle Royale for a joke, but it turned out to be a pretty good idea." What he ended up with was Mario Royale, the classic Super Mario Bros. Experience, but with 99 online Marios all at once. Finishing in first, second, or third earned you the good ending, but everyone else got dropped into lava. DidYouKnowGaming asked Inferno Plus if there was more content he would have added if not for the DMCA, and he said, "Yeah, I had a sort of roadmap in my head. I wanted to get all the basic features people had asked for added in, then I was going to release the map editing tool I had used to make the levels for the game, and let people make custom maps." But of course, the game was slapped with a DMCA. Inferno Plus expected that might happen, however, so he changed the game to DMCA Royale, starring a new character named Infringio, and his brother, Copyright Infringio. But Nintendo said that wasn't good enough and quickly shut down DMCA Royale as well. Now, a year later, all that remains is the website's goodbye page, which regretfully informed its fans that you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself get contacted by Nintendo lawyers. Sorry, your Battle Royale is in another castle. There's a few more Mario DMCAs we didn't touch on, mostly because they were too similar to other games in this video, like Super Mario Remaker and another version of Super Mario 64 HD. Or because they were just a little too spicy for YouTube, like Peach's Untold Tale. We'd like to bring this episode to a close by asking Nintendo to not strike down this video. And if you want to learn about lots of real Mario games, check out the DidYouKnowGaming Mario playlist on screen, or if you're interested in the ever-expanding world of ROM hacks and fan games for some of your favorite franchises, including Mario, check out my channel. I just uploaded a video on Mario Kart ROM hacks, and provided Nintendo doesn't strike down that video either, you can click that link as well and actually get to watch it.